City volunteers give out blankets and winter boots to refugees in Serbia. Paraguay city volunteers give out supplies to seniors and firefighters in Ciudad del Este. Welcome to Daya Headlines. I'm Sirisu. Thank you for joining us. Obrenovic is a refugee camp in Serbia, which suffered severe winter in the COVID-19 pandemic recently. City volunteers went there to give out blankets and winter boots to the refugees. Let's join them there.
It was very hard there for the whole world. And Tzu Chi was basically the only one who was not supported directly by the state who remained with us.
Volunteers are busy giving in the cold winter in Obrenovic, Serbia.
These are all your artworks. Ah, great. Great. You put the sunshine in your room.
Under the epidemic restriction order, Tzu Chi does not host a distribution. Instead, local volunteers send blankets and winter boots to the refugee dormitory one by one. Whether the refugees stay in the upper or lower bunks, volunteers give out supplies with respect.
Humanity, not in words, but in acts. So you guys act as you did it before.
Members of the Commission for Refugees and Migration have to conduct all kinds of refugees in their daily work. At least 50 refugees have contracted COVID-19. After receiving the winter supplies, members were very touched.
We want to say thank you for everything what you do for us, and we want to say Happy New Year.
Tzu Chi is not the foundation for us. Tzu Chi is not someone who is donating. Tzu Chi is a family. You guys become a family, and I'm really proud to have the relatives here. Thank you.
The next year will be the better one for everybody. And thank you again for all your support.
In Huafandian city of Liaoning, China, city volunteers have delivered love in the winter for the second year. Due to the pandemic, the process has been simplified, allowing care recipients to continue feeling the love and care of city volunteers. In the freezing weather, this group of people have brought a lot of aid supplies and hope to the needy. Mr. Yang has put on winter clothing given by Tzu Chi to meet the volunteers.
If Tzu Chi did not help me, I would have a hard time. Your financial aid every month, although it's not much, is very important to me. I find it to be very useful.
Your love is very precious. Your thoughts are very precious. Each coin comes with love. 19.9 RMB. What a lucky number. 19.9 RMB. It means love goes a long way.
Due to the pandemic, year-end hot pot has been replaced by simple snacks.
If you're willing to harbor kind thoughts and reach out to the needy, you'll become the rich among the rich and rich among the poor.
Delivering love in the winter is doing something meaningful in life for me. During the process, I feel a lot of love and warmth. While I'm a giver, I also benefit from the event.
The day before the event, Wang Na, who has a small stature, drove her farming vehicle to help transport the supplies.
Back then, we felt our family was helpless. Then, Tzu Chi volunteers brought hope to us. So, we felt that there is light in our life. I'm very willing to help out at the event today.
Every month, Tzu Chi volunteers visit a mother-son pair who lead a harsh life. They encourage the son to copy Jing's aphorisms to calm his mind.
每天抄，有没有落过一天呀？没有，没有，每天都坚持。太厉害了。
My child has matured a lot. I think it is very good. I also read Jing's aphorisms and it calms my mind. I think it is quite good.
Despite the freezing weather, volunteers have brought love and warmth to these families in need. In 1998, a huge flood devastated Dongting Lake, Hunan Province. City volunteers delivered disaster relief, helping more than 17,000 affected residents. They also built a Tzu Chi village for homeless people. 22 years have passed, and Changsha City volunteers went there again to send love in the winter.
1998年的洪水，迄今为止22年的时间，我们再续前缘。
After 22 years, Tzu Chi volunteers reappeared in Huayong County, Hunan Province. What they sent was not post-disaster assistance, but New Year blessings. The Central Elementary School in Nianyu Xu Town was filled with joy of preparing for the Lunar New Year.
The Tzu Chi Foundation provides assistance, support, care, and love to these impoverished households. In fact, I think the most important thing is the inheritance of love, so that everyone can go there to help those in need.
Tzu Chi volunteer Yi Dan was born in Huayong, which has received Tzu Chi's help continuously. She wanted to give back, so she called on her whole family to help.
Because of the ability developed 20 years ago, this time Tzu Chi volunteers come to Huarong again and brought so many supplies to Huarong residents, making them feel very warm.
This is my father, this is my mother and my sister. This event of sending winter warmth is very, very good. I haven't joined the kind of activities before. This is my first time.
To extend the loving assistance 20 years ago, not only impoverished residents have benefited, Tzu Chi volunteers has also sent winter supplies to sanitation workers in Huayong County.
22 years ago, Tzu Chi came to our Huarong community to care for us and assisted us in the construction of this county, which consisted of many immigrant residents. After 22 years, you came again to care for us and sent warmth to our sanitation workers in the cold winter. We really thank you very much.
When the residents were waiting to collect the supplies, two persons who are not sanitation workers came suddenly. They were actually the residents of Tzu Chi village in Hongsan before. They brought with them their long-cherished supply collection receipt to reunite with Tzu Chi volunteers.
I kept this for so long because it's a memory of you doing good deeds. If you didn't do this, we won't be like this now, right?
The other grandpa wore a faded blue cotton jacket, which was also a gift from Tzu Chi before. After 22 years, time has passed and things have changed. Yet, Tzu Chi volunteers' warm care remains the same as before, indicating their love will last forever.
16 years have passed since the South Asian tsunami. Tzu Chi volunteers from Hambantota invited guerrilla villagers to pray together in a special ceremony. Volunteers also sent hot food and supplies to the elderly's home.
The South Asian tsunami in 2004 severely hit Sri Lanka. Although time has passed, the pain is still in many residents' hearts.
I lost my two boys 16 years ago in a tsunami. Last night when my husband and I thought of them, we burst into tears for a long time. I pray to Allah not to bring this kind of disaster to the world anymore.
With a lighted hot lamp in residents' hands, the memories inside their hearts are also awakened. Tzu Chi volunteers in Hambantota host a prayer event with anti-epidemic measures. Great love villagers were also invited to join. Everyone prays piously for their beloved ones and turn their sadness into a loving action. Residents pour out the corns they saved into a big bamboo corn bank. They believe that the merits of helping others can turn into blessings for the deceased. The loving action is also being carried out here. Volunteers are busy preparing delicious dishes for the elderly. Bring with them heavy supplies and food. Everyone can be a dazzling candle that illuminates the darkness of others, regardless of age or religion.
On behalf of Sarana Elders Home, I want to thank all city volunteers and all people who help out. City Philippine chapter has been subsidizing disadvantaged students so they can pursue an education without worries. In addition, city volunteers work to shape the students' moral character. At the end of 2020, city volunteers held a gratitude tea gathering for students to share their thoughts and experiences. College sophomore Joe takes to the stage to share how he has been able to study without worries and learn life's principle with Tzu Chi's help.
The most important thing that I learned is about filial piety, because in our humanity class, they teaches us about how to love or appreciate the efforts, the love of our parents, our siblings, and our elders.
In the two-day gratitude tea gathering, 215 people have gathered to learn about humanitarian spirit.
For this whole year, naka-learn ko nga kanang mga.
In the past year, we have learned from the Master that we should be grateful and share our blessings.
Give love with other people. Then mo share sa imong mga blessings.
To show kindness and love, show them that you are grateful to them, that they are that they are one of the most important part of your life, and be a blessings to everyone.
As the students learn more, they'll become more humble as they pursue an education with courage. Paraguay city volunteers have been visiting many locations in Ciudad del Este at the end of 2020. They provided supplies to seniors and firefighters. Let's take a look.
Before unloading the supplies, the senior from the nursing home came out, still in a wheelchair, welcoming volunteers.
Tzu Chi is here. You guys are great.
COVID prevention supplies, fresh fruit, milk, and medical items are given to fulfill seniors' needs.
Thank you. The seniors love the holiday bread. I'm grateful to Tzu Chi bringing us the supplies we need.
At the end of 2020, Paraguay's Ciudad del Este, Tzu Chi volunteers brought joy to a local nursing home. Besides bringing joy, moving moments can be seen on current professor Andres Alejandro Florton. As the breadwinner of this family, he lives with great responsibility. On the road to becoming a doctor, Tzu Chi has been providing scholarships to him for the past 3 years.
Fuerza, profe.
Fuerza.
Estamos acompañando.
Sí.
Sí.
Por eso me pongo las pilas siempre para.
¿Te gusta esa sorpresa?
Sí, me gusta.
I want to thank Tzu Chi because you have given the best care to people in need. The government doesn't do as much as you do.
At the end of the year, volunteers arrive to bring the utmost sincere care to each disadvantaged family. Under the pandemic, volunteers also arrived to bring COVID prevention supplies for the firefighters as everyone hoped for a peaceful new year.
In Malaysia, a city volunteer met a turning point 14 years ago when she became pregnant. Ever since, she has been adopting a vegetarian diet and practicing environmental protection. Let's take a look at this volunteer's change.
For housewife Ng Sok Cheng, when she heads out to buy vegetables daily, riding a bicycle and preparing eco-friendly bags is a must. Whenever vendors see her, they're always willing to provide discounts.
There'll be 22 ringgit. It's cheaper when you use your own bag, as I do not need to buy so many plastic bags.
I think that plastic bags will pollute our environment, but the source of plastic bags is us humans, because we want things to be easy for us. Whenever we have this thought, we must remind ourselves that our actions will have consequences for our future generations.
14 years ago, Ng Sok Cheng was living in Hong Kong. She was worried that our Earth will be destroyed in the future, so she did not plan to have a child after she got married.
I know that the conditions of our Earth will worsen in the future, especially the lack of water resources and the increase in temperature. I was indeed really scared. After I knew that I was pregnant, I started to adopt a vegetarian diet. I need to be responsible for his future.
2 years ago, Sok Cheng and her family migrated back to Malaysia to take care of her elderly mother. Also encouraged her mother to be a vegetarian.
This is rainwater, so our monthly water bill is always just paying the minimum, 6 ringgits only.
Their monthly water and electricity bill always do not surpass 40 ringgits. Both and her husband are Tzu Chi volunteers. Besides saving resources and reducing carbon emission, they also utilize food waste as their fertilizer.
We coexist with this piece of land. Nature has taught us a lot that there is no hurdle in the world that we can't pass.
I learned that our every thought and action will affect the ecosystem and also the surroundings.
It is important that we practice environmental protection in our daily lives, as it can cultivate our hearts and also make our earth a better place.
Implementation of the new 12-year curriculum guidelines has led to the addition of more elective courses in high school. Today in our continuing series, we visit Yilan High School, which provides a model for this new curriculum. Here's our report.
Traditional markets for vegetables and fruit are typically a place where older women frequent, with few students showing an interest. Still, students from Yilan High School came to Nanguan Market to experience the real local culture and common people's life. Asking questions like citizen journalist is Lin Ya-chen, a second-year high school student who is interested in this well-known old shop.
This time we are here to see if there are any of these traditional crafts that are dying out and which ones we can save or revitalize.
Lin Ya-chen, through his interviews, has learned that old stores face a crisis when it comes to passing on to the next generation. He also developed some unique hands-on experience. To fry this wrap, one must master the pan, and even if one's speed is fast, one must make thin and round wraps. So it took Lin Ya-chen only 3 attempts to master the technique.
When you come out to observe and see these different things, the experience is much different than what is written in a book. You have to read and experience it for yourself to get a truly different experience.
This is not an outdoor field trip, but actually a course taught at Yilan High School. In addition to going to the traditional market, students were divided into groups and used 2 classes to visit historical attractions in Yilan City. The teacher used GPS positioning in line to see how students visited these areas.
On the map, students can directly share the places they are visiting to let us know where they are. Because they are dispersing for these visits, the teachers really can't find them, but we can track them down faster and find out where the student is. If the student really has any accident, we can also rush to the site as soon as possible.
As teaching materials become more flexible, historical events that have been remembered from the past can be taught by social science teachers at Yilan High School. In line with the new school compulsory curriculum, specially developed board games integrate the history of Yilan in the 18th and 19th centuries, mixing geography and special ethnic characteristics. For example, students can choose to be Han, Kavalan, or pirates traveling through time some 200 years ago.
抽到10卡的玩家可以从1元做2加2资讯队退回70点。
探究的这一个设计课程。
In terms of the content when designing the course,
像是希望学生可以就是在休息过
we wanted students to have more useful knowledge after taking this course.
生活之中的能力。
Unlike in the past, where there were only a few groups of students, the new 12-year curriculum guideline allows students to undertake study that was closer to their own interests. Even if it's a simple indoor class, they hoped it would not be boring. The social sciences offer multiple electives, and 3 teachers in history, geography, and citizenship teach together. The class explored how to preserve train stations in major cities around the world.
完全拆掉，没了，完全拆掉没了，就那个新的是这边。 这边现况保存最极端就是那栋建筑完全没有变，所以它在这边。
There There's no standard answer as students express their opinions according to their own ideas.
所以大家都同意东京车站是这边对。
新课纲它多了比较多是属于
The new curriculum guideline has more courses that contain content that is not part of the syllabus for exam content set by the Ministry of Education. For example, the school can offer courses that promote flexible independent learning, or, for example, multiple electives. We hope that students can choose courses based on their own expertise or interests. We want more students to have a higher degree of guidance by teachers.
作为主导，老师引导的层次比较高。
Curriculum design is a big challenge for teachers as they thought about how to deconstruct subject knowledge to match various issues. Just when the new curriculum guidelines were to be implemented, the Ministry of Education conducted a general survey of the students participating in this pilot curriculum. Upwards of 100,000 students were sampled, but preliminary survey results were not made public.
It is not a questionnaire or something like a public opinion survey. It's useful in preventing some of the fears of students and teachers. This can track a long-term development and prevent the loss of authentic education.
Will the students who take the new curriculum be just a test case, or would they be future contributors to society? One should not forget about emphasizing that education is not an experiment, as it is an important endeavor to develop future students who are society's most important future asset.
In Indonesia's Jakarta, 2020 was a tough year, but it is also time for people to learn to adapt and change. In our report, we meet a woman who switched from selling clothes to making pastries.
Affected by the pandemic, many SMEs were heavily impacted economically. This includes a decrease in turnover, poor cash flow, and a lack of materials. Living in Jakarta's Kambangan, Sri Murianti is forced to close her shop due to a long-term enforcement of the social distancing rule. During the pandemic, Sri Murianti figured out a new way of earning income as she uses time at home to make pastries. She also uploads the photos to social media platforms, drawing local attention, thereby attracting customers. Now, Sri Murianti runs internet sales, providing income for the household.
We're now making trendy pastries. It's easier for people to accept it, and the cakes I make are very soft.
Sri Murianti's cakes are hugely popular amongst her customers. This is thanks to an easy baking process. Using butter, sugar, eggs, flour, cornstarch, and hot water. Stirring constantly into the oven for 35 to 40 minutes. A delicious cake is made. Plenty of business opportunities arose for Sri Murianti due to heavy demand of pastry during holidays and festivals.
Many people like my cake since I've been making it starting 10 years ago. At that time, some people tasted my cakes and became my customers. There are also customers coming in from social media platforms.
Juga customer-customer baru yang saya dapatkan dari Instagram.
Although the pandemic largely affected people's ability to earn, but there are still turning points to look forward to. Using a positive mental attitude, one may overcome challenges during the pandemic.
Due to the pandemic, Austin City Academy has held an online autumn learning presentation. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.